When you ask a woman, what do you feel most alive doing? You're not just making conversation, you're not trying to be clever. You're inviting her into herself. Because this question, it brushes against the part of her that the world often forgets to notice. That soft electric place where her spirit breathes. Too many men try to impress her with their stories, their status, their muscles, or their ambition. But very few stop and say, tell me about the fire inside you. Very few pause long enough to wonder who she really is when no one is watching. And that's exactly what makes this question so powerful. It makes her feel seen, not sized up. When you ask her what makes her feel alive, you're not looking for a checklist or a rin-sum answer. You're watching her eyes. You're listening for the way her voice changes. Because when a woman starts speaking about what sets her soul on fire, something shifts in her. She's no longer just sitting in front of you. She's remembering who she is. It might be something simple. Maybe it's when she's dancing barefoot in her room at 2 a.m. with the lights off. Maybe it's writing poetry she's never shared, or rescuing stray animals, or swimming in the ocean until her skin is wrinkled from salt and laughter. It could be the way she feels when she's with children, when she's painting, when she's building something no one else believes in. Whatever it is, when you lean in and care, truly care about that answer, you separate yourself from the noise. You become the man who looks beyond the makeup, the curves, the games, and you reach into the pulse of her purpose. And here's what most don't realizing: when a woman starts to associate you with that feeling of aliveness, something deep begins to form. She starts to feel safe in your presence because she knows you value the real her. Not the performance, not the mask, not the version of herself she shows to survive, but the one that dares to dream. When you ask that question, don't interrupt, don't rush. Let there be silence between her words. Let the pauses breathe. The moment you ask her what makes her feel alive is the moment she steps out of autopilot and begins to remember that her heart still beats for something. And when she remembers, with you, she starts to feel something she hasn't felt in a long time. Home. And you become unforgettable. You see, connection doesn't come from constant compliments. It doesn't even come from saying the right things. It comes from making her feel. When you hold space for her aliveness, you become part of her awakening. You're not just the man who listened. You're the man who woke something up inside her. That's the man she thinks about at night. That's the man she wants to be close to when the world gets too loud. That's the man who lives in her mind, even when you're not around. Because you didn't touch her body first, you touched her e-soul. Most women are starving to talk about what makes them feel alive, but no one asks. They're busy pretending, giving everyone their strength, while silently wondering if anyone cares about their essence. So when you ask that question, you're not just asking her to speak, you're giving her permission to be. And that kind of emotional permission, that's rare. That's magnetic. That's the kind of energy that lingers long after the words have faded. So the next time you're with her, look her in the eyes. Not with desire, but with depth. Not with charm, but with curiosity. And simply ask her, what do you feel most alive doing? Then listen like her answer is the most important thing you've ever heard. Because if you dob, she will never forget how you made her feel in that moment. She'll never forget you. When you look a woman in the eye and ask, when did you last feel truly safe with someone? You're not just asking a question. You're opening a door to a place she rarely goes, a place filled with memories she may not speak of often, not because she's forgotten, but because so few people make her feel it's okay to go there. Safety for a woman is everything. It's not a luxury. It's oxygen. It's what allows her to exhale, to let her guard down, to finally stop performing and just be. The world tells her to be strong, to hold it together, to not be too much. But inside, she's often craving a space where she can soften, where she doesn't have to explain why she's tired or overthinking or suddenly quiet. And when you ask this question, not to probe, not to impress, but with genuine curiosity, you become that space. She'll feel it instantly, the shift, the calm, the sense that maybe with you, she doesn't have to pretend. Maybe with you, it's safe to feel again. Her answer may come slowly. Maybe she'll look away for a second. Maybe she'll take a breath. Because to speak of the last time she felt safe is to remember the contrast. All the time she didn't. The time she gave her heart to someone who only held it when it was convenient. The time she showed her vulnerability and it was used against her. The time she cried and someone called her too emotional, instead of holding her tighter. And maybe if she won't even have an answer. Because for some women, the truth is hard. They've never felt truly safe, not with a man. Not emotionally, not spiritually. They've felt attraction, they felt chemistry, but they haven't felt held. They haven't felt that gentle kind of protection that says, hey, you can fall apart reg and I'll still be right here. That's the kind of man she remembers. The one who didn't flinch when she showed her shadow. The one who didn't try to fix her feelings but stayed with her in them. Not every man knows how to do that. It's not about being strong in the loud ways. It's about being strong in the quiet ones. Holding her hand without needing words. Letting her know that whatever she reveals won't scare you away. Because here's the truth most never tell you. Women don't fall in love with how big your plans are or how sharp your jawline is. They fall in love with how safe they feel in your presence. They fall in love with the way you make their chaos feel calm. With the way you make silence feel sacred, not awkward. If you can be that for her, if you can offer her that emotional refugee, she won't just desire you. She'll crave you. You'll become the place her heart wants to rest. And it's not because you promised to protect her. It's because you proved it in how you listened, how you didn't judge, how you held her when she felt unlovable. And understand, this isn't about perfection. You don't have to have all the right answers. You don't have to be some emotional expert. You just have to be present. Fully, authentically, with no agenda except to understand her world. So ask her, not in a rush, not in passing. Ask her when you're sitting close, when the world is quiet, when her guard is down just enough. Ask her gently, when did you last feel truly safe with someone? And when she answers, whether it's a whisper or a flood, listen like her heart depends on it. Because in that moment, it does. She may not remember every word you say, but she'll remember how your presence made her feel. And if that feeling is safety, she'll never want to leave. There's a different kind of silence that falls when you ask a woman, what's something you've never told anyone but want to? It's not the awkward kind. It's the kind that holds weight. It's the kind that makes her breathe a little deeper, shift slightly in her seat, and suddenly realize maybe she's about to be heard in a way she's never been heard before. Because that question, it doesn't live on the surface. It lives in the places she keeps hidden. It lives in the corners of her heart that have been gathering dust, waiting quietly for someone safe enough to enter. You're not asking for information. You're offering her a moment, an invitation, to finally say out loud the thing that's been locked behind her ribs. It might be something soft, or it might be something heavy. Maybe she'll share a secret dream. Something beautiful and fragile, like wanting to leave everything and live by the sea. Maybe she'll tell you she writes songs she never sings, or that she still cries over something everyone else thinks she's over. Maybe she'll speak about a part of herself she thought no one would understand, or maybe she'll pause. She'll hesitate because this kind of question, it touches a place where many people have walked away, or worse, pretended to care only to use her honesty against her later. So if she gives you her truth, it's not a small thing, it's sacred. What she shares doesn't have to be dramatic. The weight is not in the story, it's in the fact that she's sharing it with you, that she chose you. And in that moment, she isn't trying to impress you. She's letting you witness her, not her smile, not her style, not her charm, her woo truth and here's what most don't realize. When a woman shares something she's never said out loud, she's not looking for you to fix it. She's not even looking for advice. She just wants to know you're still there, still listening, still seeing her the same way after the words land. Because what she's really asking is, will you still want me when you see this part of me? The men who know how to hold a woman in that space, not with solutions, but with presence, those are the men she never forgets. Not because they solved her past, but because they made it safe for her to speak her heart without shame. When you ask this question, you have to be ready to stay emotionally, energetically, because she might tremble. She might laugh to mask the fear. She might say, this is stupid, or I don't know why I'm telling you this, but that's your cue to stay still, gentle, open, to show her that nothing she reveals will change the way you see her. Because for a woman to open emotionally, she needs to know she won't be punished for her depth. She needs to feel that her vulnerability is not a weapon in your hands, but a bridge between your hearts. And when she feels that, something changes. She starts to associate you with emotional freedom. She begins to trust you with the real her, not just the curated version. And when a woman gives you that kind of trust, it's not just attraction that grows. It's a attachment. It's connection on a level that most men never reach because they never ooh ask L. And here's the true thing. Women crave intimacy, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. They want to feel like someone wants to know the parts of them that don't sparkle on Instagram. The quiet insecurities, the secret fears, the stories that shaped them. When you ask what she's never told anyone and she tells you, you become a chapter in her story that doesn't feel written in pencil. You become permanent. Not because you made her talk, but because you made it as safe for her to speak. So don't underestimate that moment. Don't rush it. Let her unfold at her own pace. And when she does, don't fill the silence with noise. Let it stretch. Let it settle. Let her see that you're not going anywhere. Because if you can hold her truth in your hands with Karik, you'll hold her heart too. There's something magnetic about asking a woman, if nothing could stop you, what would you chase with your whole heart? It's not just a question, it's a spark, a match struck against the walls of everything she's silenced in herself. And most of the time it catches her off guard because no one asks her that. They ask what she does, what she studied, where she works, but almost never what her soul aches all to run after if the world stops saying no. And that's why this question touches her in a way few others can. Because you're not asking about what she has, you're asking about what she wants. Not in the surface level sense of desire, but in the deep, buried, trembling way that people sometimes forget they even have permission to feel. And when you ask that, you shift the energy. You stop being just another man and become someone who sees a part of her she thought no one even noticed. She might pause. She might laugh nervously. She might even say, I don't know. But that's only because she's been trained by life, by people, by disappointments, to keep that dream locked away. Sometimes a woman hides her fire so well, she forgets she ever had it. And then suddenly you come along, not to awaken it for her, but to invite it back into the light. That's powerful. That's rare. That's intimate in a way that has nothing to do with touching her skin and everything to do with touching her potential. Because what a woman feels when you ask her what she would chase if she could is hope, and hope is a dangerous thing. In the best way, it stirs something. It reminds her that she's more than the roles she plays, more than the title on her desk, more than the smile puts on when she's exhausted inside. And the man who stirs that reminder is the man who lingers in her thoughts long after the conversation ends. Because you didn't just notice her, you saw her. You looked beyond the mask and said, tell me who you could be if nothing held you back. Oh, the beauty of this moment is that it has no agenda. You're not asking so you can fix or solve or lead her somewhere. You're asking because you're curious about the version of her that feels most alive, most free, most true, and when she starts to speak, even if it's slow at first, watch her. Watch how her eyes shift, how her shoulders relax, how her voice gains strength with every word. That's not coincidence. That's what it looks like when a woman returns to herself in real time. Maybe she dreams of starting a school for girls, or traveling alone across continents, or singing again like she did when she was 17. Maybe she wants to write a book that scares her, or raise a family in a quiet town by the sea. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter if it sounds impossible to the world, because to her it's hers, and you asking about it, that makes you part of it. You don't need to do anything grand. You don't have to make promises or build castles in the air. What matters is that when she shared that dream with you, you honored it. You didn't laugh. You didn't rush past it. You stayed in that space with her. And in doing so, you created a memory she won't forget. Because here's the truth. Women are not waiting for men who have everything figured out. They're waiting for someone who sees more in them they've been allowed to show. Someone who hears not just their voice, but the music beneath it. The man who opens that door, even just a little, becomes unforgettable. Not because he tried so hard to impress her, because he gave her permission to impress herself. So the next time you're sitting with her, let the world slow down, look her in the eye, ask her softly, if nothing could stop you, what would you chase with your whole heart? Then sit back and let her dream in front of you. Because if she does, she might just start chasing you too.